PGA Tour Champions Learning Center. Brought to you by Tour Edge Exotics.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Learning Center. I'm Vince Cellini, and we are with our current setup, given the COVID-19 pandemic that's taking place. We hope you are safe and well wherever you're seeing this, and you're also seeing our very special guest, the World Golf Hall of Fame member, two-time Masters champion, 41 wins on PGA Tour Champions, and a great friend of the show. The great Bernhard Langer is with us. Bernhard, thank you so much for spending time with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, Vince. Good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. I understand this is your first venture into Skype ever.
Yeah,
is that true?
It is. Well, maybe not the first. I've done it a couple of times with the kids, but it's a challenge for me. Let's put it that way.
Well, we appreciate you doing it on this level. And I have to start out talking about the current situation, and that is, you know, the postponements and cancellations, and it's a very fluid situation right now. Of course, this was supposed to be Masters Week, but I'd also like to start with the news we saw of the cancellation completely of the 2020 Open Championship at Royal St. George's. And you were scheduled to be there as part of your victory in the Senior Open Championship at Royal Lytham in St. Anne's. So I wanted to get your reaction to this complete movement to 2021.
Well, I'm obviously disappointed at first because I was looking forward to playing the Open Championship at Royal St. George's, and then the very next week, the Senior Open at Sunningdale. Two wonderful golf courses, and they're only 2 hours apart. So I was planning on flying over there to play two tournaments in a row, two majors in a row, and then have a couple of weeks off in Germany. But I totally understand and agree with the decision they're making. It is just, we don't know what's going to happen here the next few weeks and months. And the key is that everybody stays safe and that they stay healthy and we have the least death possible. So these tournaments need at least 2 or 3 months run up till they get going because they're spending a huge amount of money and all that. So I totally understand why they're doing it. And you know, we'll have to wait another year. Maybe I'll get exempt in 21. Who knows?
Well, Easter won't be the same without the Masters and at Augusta National, but at least we're trying to save that. And the announcement is the week of November 9th. So my question is really the conditions at Augusta National, how much of a change that will make in your approach and the approach of all the players as we push this into a November schedule?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the approach will be different. Maybe the build-up will be, because certainly on the regular tour, the guys, had the Florida swing, and then they kind of head to the first major, which has always been the Masters, and now it's probably the last major of the year in November, and we've never played a major in November, so that will be different and interesting. But I believe the golf course will play very similar. Augusta will play very similar in November as it probably does in April, except for the flowers. We're going to miss the magnolias and all the other beautiful flowers they have. I don't think they're going to bloom in November, but you never know what Augusta produces.
No, the spring is very beautiful in Georgia here, that's for sure. And we'll talk more about what's scheduled to be your 37th appearance at the Masters in a moment. But let's get to PGA Tour Champions and wonderful season that you're putting together. Back in a familiar spot atop the Charles Schwab Cup standings after that come-from-behind victory in Tucson at the Cologuard. And also finishing no worse than a tie for sixth in your first 4 events. So what's clicking for you? Why were you playing so well? Can you describe it?
Well, it was very encouraging, the start I had, because the first 4 tournaments I could have won every one of them. I was in the last group, the second last group in all 4, and had a chance to make a run at it, and it took me 4 times to pull it off. I've just stayed with it over the winter. I tried to improve my takeaway a little bit to get more consistent, and it was a bit of a change, but not too difficult. And the whole game was fairly solid for the most part. And then it often depends on a good break or a bad break, or the right shot at the right time, and not the wrong shot at the wrong time. So, but it was fun being in contention 4 out of the 5 tournaments I've played, and felt good about my game. And it's disappointing that we have this long break now, but everybody is disappointed, and we just got to try and cope with it and make the best of it.
It is disappointing, but on top of that, and a lot, you're reminded constantly of your pursuit of the all-time win record. You're 4 away from 45 and Hale Irwin. But more than that, Bernhard, is we get to a certain point in our life where time becomes such a commodity and opportunity to play in these events. And that's what has to be most disappointing, I would think, is that you don't get this time back and these opportunities to play and try to win. And at our age, we give thanks for every day.
I totally agree, and you had to bring that up, didn't you? But it's the clock is certainly ticking, and I might be 63 by the time we play again. Who knows? So it all depends. It's not getting easier as I get older, and the younger guys come out on the Champions Tour every month or two. There's a few new faces, and they're all pretty accomplished golfers. So it's gonna certainly be challenging and tough, but I'm not shying away from it, and I think I have a few more good years in me.
Absolutely, and I hope I'm covering you when you're 70 and competing on PGA.
I'm not sure you want to do that, but we'll see.
All right, let's get to our weekly segment, What's Your Edge, presented by Tour Edge Exotics. And I have to ask you, you kind of touched on this, what you're doing at home to keep your game sharp?
Well, right now I'm trying to heal those areas that are a little achy, like, the knees or the shoulders or whatever ailments you have at my age, trying to heal up and stay fit. So whenever we come back out, I'm ready to go, and it's not going to take me 2 or 3 months to get ready. That is the goal. So everything here in Boca Raton, where I live, is shut down. They closed the beaches, the fitness centers, the golf courses, and so everything we're done. And that's been for 2 weeks already, and I'm looking at several more weeks. So I'm trying to be creative I got a little workout facility in my house. I got a swimming pool that I can use because it's warm enough. So I'm doing stuff like that to just try not to gain too much weight and stay in good shape. I do some golf specific exercises, and I'm actually gonna come out with a little video every week soon. And so that will be exciting, and I look forward to doing that.
Where might we see that video?
Probably on the PGAtour.com or some of the, what do you call it, Instagram, Twitter, those kind of things.
Look at you social media maven. Yeah.
Yeah, I need a lot of help with that, but we're working on it.
You're doing great. All right, let's get back to the Masters. Bernhard, this is the 35th anniversary of your first victory at Augusta National. I wanted to ask you, really your third Masters, and you win the green jacket. What were your expectations going in? Take us back to that time.
I had some expectations, to tell you the truth, even though my very first Masters, I had 11 three-putts in 36 holes. So every third hole I had a three-putt, and I missed the cut by 11. So if I hadn't three-putted, I would have been, no, actually I was 11 behind the leader. Sorry, I would have been in the lead if I hadn't three-putted. Anyways, the second time I did a lot better, and the third time I came in with some expectations. I think I had a really good 1984, and this was April of 85. Had a great build-up, won the Australian Masters down in Melbourne. I think it was in February or March, so just a few weeks prior. I had a very good showing in the Players Championship, and then I came into the Masters hoping to do well. There's actually a funny story if we have time. The guys
Sure.
that ran the Australian Masters tournament, they always treat themselves a month or two later and come to the US Masters and take a week's vacation. So they traveled over here and they looked at I guess they're some gamblers or putting a bit of money on some bets. And there was a Calcutta going, and they said, well, look at Langer. He's pretty good odds. Let's put some money on Langer. make a long story short, I won the tournament. They won $125,000 for winning the Calcutta. I won $90,000 for the tournament. So they made more than I did.
That's hilarious. I love that story.
Yeah.
Aside from what was an amazing finish on the final 9 on Sunday, what else stands out about that 2-shot victory over the likes of Curtis Strange and Ray Floyd and Seve as well?
Yeah, there were some experienced players up there, guys that had all won majors, and I hadn't yet. So I'm sure I wasn't the favorite when the TV commentators looked at the last 2 pairings. I was paired with Seve, and then it was Raymond Floyd and Curtis Strange right behind us in the last group. And so the odds were certainly on the other 3, I think. But I played solid on the front 9. I think I was about even par. And had a quick glance at the leaderboard on the 10th tee there and realized I was 4 shots behind Curtis. And so I decided to just go for everything, either pull it off or, finish 20th or 30th, who knows. So I got fortunate. I hit some great shots, made some good putts. I think I was 5 under for the next 8 holes. And then bogey had a 2-shot lead going onto the 18th tee. And as we walked off the 17th green, Seve was walking next to me, and he kind of tapped me on the shoulder or on the back and said, "Hey, congrats, this is yours. Well done, great playing, and you deserve this." And I'm walking the last few yards and going, "Well, hold on, I got another hole to play. It's not over yet." We know what happened to Arnold Palmer, who had a 2-shot lead and made double bogey and then lost the playoff and stuff like that. So I appreciated the gesture from him, which was very nice, but I still had to hit a couple of good shots.
What a wonderful moment as you birdied 4 of their final 7 holes and walk away with your first of 2 green jackets. Also, the following year, you get to put the jacket on Jack Nicklaus in the famous 1986 Masters victory when at age of 46, he basically shocks the world. And we talk about your longevity and what Hale has done for senior and Champions Tour golf. I wonder if at that moment it registered with you that, wow, this is a marathon, that you can be this good for this long.
Well, it didn't register with me at that point. I was too excited for Jack and just overwhelmed with what he had just accomplished to win a 6 Masters at the age of 46 when he really hadn't been dominating for 4 years or so. I hadn't really done a whole lot in winning anything the last 2 or 3 years. I think he wasn't playing at his best, yet he shows up and pulls off an amazing victory. And, I felt like I was part of history, just an eyewitness to see with him winning his 6 Masters and having his son on the back and all about it had to be magical.
So you mentioned your first place prize money in 1985, right?
Yeah.
And so last year in 2019, Tiger Woods wins just over $2 million for taking the Masters tournament. Timing is everything, isn't it, Bernhard?
Well, golf has come a long way. We needed some catching up with the other major sports. They were getting paid a lot more than golf was for many, many years. I mean, you look at what Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and some of these guys made. It was, sort of peanuts compared to some other sports, whether it's baseball, football, tennis, or whatever it may be. But all that changed when Tiger Woods came along, as we know.
So last year at the Masters, really impressive performance by you. You're 6 shots back heading into the weekend. You had rounds of 71 and 72. And how do you continue, and we've talked about this, how do you continue to play well there with the evolution of Augusta National and how it has been lengthened over the years and how your game has had to adjust to stay competitive?
Well, it's much different now and very difficult for me. In my prime, I was hitting a lot of 8, 9 irons, 7 irons, maybe a bunch of wedges into the par fours. Now I'm hitting a lot of 4 irons, hybrids, and 5 irons at the best off downhill, side hill lies. And it's a lot harder to stop the ball and get it near the hole. And so very challenging. I have to play really smart and really well. And I often have to think, if I miss the green, where do I need to miss it to have a chance to get it up and down? Because my 4-iron doesn't go that high. It doesn't spin that much, so I can't stop it on some of the greens. Or same with the hybrids. So it's almost like a chess game for me. But it's a challenge that is fascinating for me, and I like challenges. And the last few years I've done fairly well around Augusta, even though I'm hitting 7 irons more into a green than some of the long hitters.
No, it's been very impressive to watch you perform there, and that's a credit to how much work you put into your game each and every day. Before we let you go, we understand that there is some family news that perhaps we can ask you about. You'd like to share now. Is the Langer clan is growing?
It is. Yeah, we were blessed with a little grandson, a boy named Jackson. Our oldest daughter, she's 33, just gave birth to him a week ago now. So we're thrilled. Everything went fantastic. She had a great delivery. Mom and the baby are well, and they're adjusting to their bigger family now, and we're only 20 minutes from them. So it's kind of sad because we're not really allowed to be real close to him yet because of the pandemic that we're experiencing. But we're looking forward to the time when we can hold him in our arms and kiss on him and spoil him, as most grandparents do, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And he'll probably be out there watching you perform on PGA Tour Champions in no time.
Better grow up fast.
Anything, Bernhard, you have such a wonderful outlook on life and your game, and I know your faith is a big part of that. What would you like to share maybe with viewers who may be struggling right now with what we're going through worldwide?
Well, it's a huge struggle, and there's a lot of fear going on, and people are scared, and rightly so for some reasons. But I think for me, it puts things in perspective that we really are not in control as much as we like to be in control of our lives, our situation, our finances, and our health, and all of this. We're really not. And as a Christian, I believe God is, and this is not a surprise to him. So it's kind of a wake-up call for many of us, as we've had some in the past. It's not the first time. And for me, the eternal perspective weighs much more than the right here, now, and then. We're so concerned about the 70, 80, 90 years we might live on this earth, but what about eternity? And to me, that's the important part. Where do I spend my eternity? And I'm grateful I have a personal relationship with Jesus, and that gives me far greater peace than probably most people have in these difficult times.
Very, very wise words. Thank you so much, Bernhard. I can't wait to actually talk to you in person and get out there on the range and at the events, spend some time together.
Thanks, Vince. I appreciate it. Stay healthy and safe, and hope to see you soon.